So yesterday we got the stunning news that Tucker Carlson and Fox have quote unquote parted ways, as they've put it, and Tucker Carlson will no longer be on Fox News. Now, this is a huge bombshell for both cable news and the political discourse as a whole, since Tucker Carlson, since he got his own show in 2017, has been a major media figure on the right and has influenced and spearheaded a lot of the discussion around conservative cultural issues in America. So his departure from Fox is monumentous and will have big implications. This also came on the same day that Don Lemon from CNN was also ousted. Now, this one was a bit more predictable than Tucker's. This had been talked about for over a year now. There have been rumors that Don Lemon was going to be let go, and then he was moved out of prime time. And many people thought he was going to stay, doing his morning show. And then all of a sudden, CNN decided to axe him. So we've got two major news anchors from two very different news networks, both being let go on the same day. A huge breaking development. And we're going to get into all of it in just a second. But first, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing down below and liking this video if you enjoy. Now, as I mentioned before, Tucker Carlson was a massively influential conservative media figure. He had a very dedicated audience on Fox. His audience was notably much younger than the audiences of Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, and other Fox News hosts. And he sort of embodied this more grassroots populist brand of conservatism, sort of being the mouthpiece of your everyday conservative, as opposed to some of the other Fox hosts who seem more robotic and sort of parrot the old school GOP talking points, although the entire network has sort of moved in the more Trumpian direction as of late. But Tucker Carlson really rode that Trump populist wave on Fox News, and he made his own image as a result and sort of stood out from the rest of the network. He took some stands on political issues that got Fox in a little bit of trouble. He made some comments that got them in a little bit of trouble. But I really think the Dominion lawsuit that was just settled really was probably the nail in the coffin for Tucker Carlson, because again, he said a number of things on his show that have scared away some advertisers that put Fox News in hot water, but ultimately they made the calculation that the cost of keeping him at this point was greater than letting him go, and ultimately they decided to let him go. And this came really suddenly. Again, Tucker Carlson, the last words he ever uttered on Fox News was "see you on Monday," and then he never had his Monday show. So it's really interesting that this was done so suddenly. Usually when you have a major cable news anchor leave a news network, I remember when Shepard Smith left Fox a number of years ago, he had a signing off and he had a moment to say goodbye to the audience members. Tucker never had that. This was done so quickly. They pulled the plug so quickly that Tucker didn't even get to say goodbye to as many fans on the network. So again, this has massive implications. As I mentioned, Tucker's done a number of debates at a number of political conventions. He's a very popular figure on the right, again, specifically with younger conservatives, because he sort of is their mouthpiece, their vehicle, in a way that other hosts on Fox News aren't. So again, more on this. Fox took a big hit for letting Tucker Carlson go. Their share price fell almost 3% on Monday following the host's departure, marking the network's worst day since it settled with Dominion last week. And again, the share price fell below $30 on Monday, roughly 4.5% since the start of the month. So this was a massive calculation on Fox's end. They probably calculated that letting Tucker Carlson go would in the long term help them, but in the short term, it's really causing them a lot of problems, because I think Fox underestimated how many audience members were still watching them because of Tucker Carlson. Again, Fox has a dedicated audience, people that will watch a number of the Fox hosts, but Tucker Carlson brings in a lot of these viewers that are more into new media. They're more online and really only come to cable news just to watch Tucker Carlson. So this is going to massively hurt them, I think, for a number of months. Now, do I think Fox News is done as a result of letting Tucker Carlson go? Probably not. Again, they've let other major hosts go, Bill O'Reilly, but that never really crushed Fox News or hurt them in the long term. A lot of people thought Fox News was done after the 2020 election, when originally you had the Fox decision desk call Arizona for Biden. They did that correctly, but there were many people, including some of the Fox hosts, who were very upset about that. And you had a lot of the Trump loyalists say they would never watch Fox again. And obviously Fox, up until very recently, was doing pretty well. But, since the 2020 election, since all of the defamation cases have been put out, they've certainly been struggling, to say the least. And I think Tucker Carlson was just one of the casualties of that. You also had Dan Bongino. I think his contract wasn't renewed, or he didn't renew his contract. They announced he was going as well. So, Fox is in a lot of trouble. I think, again, paying out nearly $1 billion in a settlement to Dominion really hurts the network. I think there's other lawsuits coming around from other companies. Smartmatic, I think, has their own lawsuit against Fox regarding the election stuff. So there's a lot of stuff coming just around the corner. We'll obviously cover it if it warrants it. But again, a lot of the details around this are still ongoing. This just happened yesterday, so there's still a lot that we don't know about this yet. We really haven't heard Tucker Carlson say anything about it. All that we really know is that this was quite a surprise for just about everybody involved. Nobody, except maybe Rupert Murdoch and a couple of high executives, really knew this was going to happen. And I'm sure in the coming days, we're going to hear a lot of commentators talk about this, and probably Tucker himself address the separation from Fox News. Now, I mentioned we'd also talk about Don Lemon, because he was also removed from CNN. CNN's kind of going through a sort of rebranding, or at least that's what they're calling it, under the new management, trying to make the network a little less openly biased in favor of the left. So as a result, I think Don Lemon was one of the people that was let go, since especially during the Trump years, he was one of their more aggressive political opinion hosts. And again, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, they all have opinion hosts. They all have their biases. Fox is obviously biased in favor of conservatives. CNN and MSNBC are left-wing networks for the most part, or at least left of center. That's well known. But, the letting go of Don Lemon on the same day as Tucker Carlson is a pretty interesting coincidence. And Don Lemon himself was very stunned by this as well, because he's been with CNN for a number of years and, again, was always one of these more iconic opinion hosts. Now, under the new management at CNN, they also let go of Brian Stelter. I'm not sure if they let go of any other hosts, but I do remember Brian Stelter was basically fired as well. They're sort of doing this whole reorganizing. They're trying to elevate more objective news hosts, people like Wolf Blitzer. I guess Jake Tapper as well has a more prominent role at CNN lately. So there's really a shakeup in all of cable news at the moment. And again, I think circling back a bit to the Fox situation, I think this was more so than anything because of the Dominion lawsuit. I think CNN and the Fox situation are two different things, even though they both happened at the same time. Because again, I think Tucker's problem was that while he was espousing the election rhetoric of Donald Trump on Fox News, he was saying something totally different in private. And that's something that the Dominion lawsuit revealed. And that's probably why they can get him on sort of this malicious defamation, because he doesn't have the leeway that other Fox hosts have in this regard. Because if you're one of the Fox hosts that, can come across as actually believing some of this stuff that Sidney Powell and Mike Lindell were saying and parroting on the network, you've got a bit more plausible deniability, whereas Tucker Carlson doesn't have that. And I think Fox News knows that, and I think that's one of the reasons, the main reason, why they ultimately let him go, because they realized he was going to cost the network more than he would actually bring to it. So as for Tucker, obviously we don't know where he's going to go in the future. I think he already had his own YouTube channel and sort of did his own thing every now and then. I've seen him with that different set. He does talks with Megyn Kelly and other people. So I'm sure he'll probably pursue some sort of independent media career, or perhaps maybe join Newsmax or One America News Network. But I think that'd be sort of a downgrade to where he was. Again, Fox was really the height of conservative media. OAN, Newsmax, they're not nearly as big as Fox. And I don't think Tucker is going to downgrade himself. I think if anything, he'll probably start his own media operation, maybe similar to the Daily Wire or something like that, and sort of platform himself that way. But again, just a really big and quite shocking development. Again, Tucker Carlson's been mainstream in the discourse since around 2017. I remember watching some of his earlier segments way back then in regards to immigration, cultural issues. He was always the most vocal about those things, probably out of all the Fox hosts. And, that's certainly something that the network is going to have to try and replicate with its other hosts if they're going to want to keep sort of that more fervent Trump base in line. and watching. But of course, as we've seen over the past couple of years, they've been migrating to OAN, Newsmax, these other news sources. But Fox News always was able to sort of stay number one because they still had that older, more loyal conservative base that has been watching Fox probably since its inception in the late 1990s. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Leave your comments down below and your thoughts about this, why you think Tucker was let go, if you think it's something other than the Dominion settlement, if there's something else going on. Like this video down below if you enjoy. As always, again, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.